If you're serious about playing college baseball, do not go anywhere because by the end of this video, I promise you're going to have everything that you need. Hey guys, it's Justin Bianco. In this video, I'm going to break down the exact system that I used to get myself a Division I college scholarship and then eventually get drafted in the third round. That was back in 2011 by the Arizona Diamondbacks in the MLB draft. And actually the system I have today is 10 times better than the system I used back then because every single year I've evolved it and enhanced it to make it more efficient and help you get there on a faster track even than I did. As a bonus in this video, I'm going to reveal 3 secrets that you need to know today if you want to play college baseball. But before we dive into this video, I want to show you something for literally 2 minutes. First, I'm going to show you that we've had hundreds, actually thousands of players that have gone on to play college, as our business has produced over 800 college scholarships, 60 pro players, and even 8 to make it to the majors. And the second thing is this. When I'm learning something personally, I want to know who I'm learning it from. And so I'm going to show you as briefly as I can without bragging or boasting who I am and just letting you know that I am qualified to do this and I'm not just some random person on the internet. I was born into baseball. So my dad created a baseball academy called the Bianco School of Baseball, and that's our business today. That's our indoor field. So we have a 60,000 square foot building. Still in business today, 34 years later. I run a travel program called the Guardian Angels. I do private lessons. I'm a head coach. I do everything baseball, but that's our business in person. All right. And so there's our websites. So you can check those out. See that we're legit. Here's some recent players, guys. So Gianni Cantini, Chatham University, Cooper Stalla, Cecil College, Anthony Romano, W&J College, Nolan Rotolo, Tristan Bedelia, Nick Gasparino, Clark Eamon. And so I'm not going to bore you. It goes on and on. Again, over time, we have 800 of them. And here's an interview Clark and I did after going through the program in 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes max.
My batting average also jumped a lot more to a 536.
So 536.
Yes. Yeah. So
from freshman to sophomore to junior, you bumped up 100 points, then almost another 100 roughly.
Right. Yeah.
Mid 300s, mid 400s, then almost the mid 500s last season. Would you say like last season it was really like you could tell, okay, everything now starting to pay off?
I would say junior season was a big season, try to get recruited for college and everything. It was really important, and I think that definitely the program helped me, definitely mental and physical side as far as training, putting to work in the off season to get me ready.
Let's even take the time right now. I can tell anyone watching what happened maybe a month or 2 ago for you, right? Some big news.
Oh yeah. I'm playing. I got an offer from the Whittier College Poets in LA, California. So it's really exciting. So I definitely credit this program for all that. I dropped my 60 time. That was the biggest thing. I didn't feel personal. My best personal accomplishment was dropping me down to 6'7", my 60. So I mean, like some of those numbers are like. The jumps are tremendous for you. You went from a 7'8", 60 throughout your high school journey to now you still have the rest of your senior year to finish up here, but now you're down to a 6'7". Yeah. In your weight, I mean, you were like a $130 your freshman year, and now you're 180. You said that one year you gained 25 pounds of pretty much muscle. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's good
to see. You don't have much fat on you. You know what I mean? So
I'm really proud of that.
So that was Clark Eamon there. We just did a quick interview together. And now I'll play you a 1 minute video just showing you a little bit about my playing story.
Arizona selects Justin Bianco, a center fielder from Peters Township High School in Pennsylvania.
It's Arizona going all the way to PA to find a high school center fielder.
My neck of the woods. It's a Pittsburgh guy. His dad actually runs a baseball academy.
In the top of inning number 3 here. As Bianco gets into this one high in the air, deep to right, back, and that goes off of the top of the scoreboard and right.
Justin Bianco.
So that was me. That's my highlight video. And again, I don't do this to brag. I just want to let you know I'm not here to scam you. I'm here because I want you to get better. I'm here to help. I'm here because I want you to pursue the same dreams, whether that's college, pro, beyond, whatever that is. But before we start, it's really important for me to tell you this. After going through the whole process, here's what won't get you a college baseball offer. Number one, endless hours in the cage and always trying to find the fix to your swing. That's not going to get you a college baseball offer. Number two, lifting heavier weights. Not going to do it. Spending $10,000 or more on private coaches, high-end recruiting services that overpromise and underdeliver. As much as you think that will do it, at the end of the day, it's not going to be the answer. Playing for the best travel team or attending every showcase and tournament. Having the best stats, believe it or not, as you'll hear later on from my story, is not going to be the answer either. Or being the most talented. You'll hear from my story as well about that. Chasing every new drill or training gimmick that you see on YouTube and learning everything from your dad, cousin, or neighbor. No offense, and I'm just to be blunt about it. They mean well, but have they really walked that path themselves? Because if that stuff worked, more players would be getting offers. They just would. There's something you guys got to know about me though. When I was a kid, I only made the All-Star team 1 year. Okay, 1 year when I was 11 years old. And then when I was a freshman, I played freshman ball like everyone else. I didn't play JV, I didn't play varsity. And then I kept getting better, and my sophomore year came around, and I did make a Pirates scout team my fall of my sophomore year. And so I was really excited about that. Things were going good. But then the game started, and man, I stunk. I mean, literally, I stunk. I don't think I got one single hit all fall. I was playing with guys who were a little older than me, and they were just better than me at the time. And so I think I'm up because I made the team, and then my hopes are all down because I'm not doing well, I'm not succeeding. And so then I hit the off season, I train as hard as I can. I know I got to get better. And then my spring comes around that sophomore year for the high school tryouts, and I made varsity. So, all my hard work paid off, and things are going good again. So I'm up. But then guess what? The season started, and I started in the roster as a number 2 hitter, starting right fielder, and did okay to start, and then not so good. And then guess what? By the end of the season, I was batting last, and I wasn't even starting every game. So now I'm down thinking that I'm terrible again. And so I want to pause for 2 seconds. If anybody else has played this game before, you're going to realize something. We're playing the game of failure, right? But the biggest thing is you need to learn how to handle failure the right way. And the truth is not everyone does. Honestly, most don't. And that was a huge lesson for me. I saw 2 rounds of it up and down at a very young age of tasting success, but then also getting knocked down by failure. And if you want to play far in this game, how well you handle failure and how quickly you can brush yourself off will determine how far you'll go. But after that sophomore season, I still had a summer of baseball to play, and I had some big events I could go to, and I did the same thing. I worked really hard in between that time. I got better, and there was something else that I didn't realize at the time, but realize now, is that the things I was doing in my off season were absolutely crucial for the things that I did in showcases when I got in front of the important people, okay, the people that matter, the college scouts and even eventually pro scouts for me. And so I got to these showcases. I ran a great 60 time. I showcased great arm strength from the outfield. I showcased great power hitting the ball off the bat, putting the ball over the fence in batting practice. Things like that where I showed my skills. And then believe it or not, I verbally committed to the University of Pittsburgh before my junior year. And so that just goes to show you what I said earlier. It's not all about your stats. I'm telling you right now, firsthand from my experience, it wasn't all about my stats. Because I had bad stats in my high school season, and I did good things when it mattered the most. And so the reason I say that is that you don't have to be perfect with every single thing you're doing. Absolutely, you got to get to a point where you can perform in the game. But it's not always about having the best game of your life every game. But to finish up my story, and I promise I wouldn't be saying any of these things if it wasn't related to you and your journey or your child's journey. My junior spring hits, and everything paid off. Again, I'm working hard in the off season. I ended up batting 400 my junior year. I think I made all section, things like that. But if I could be honest, here was the reality of my mental state at the time. For me, my number one dream since I was a kid was to get drafted. It just was. And that's the key for anybody listening. If you really see in yourself being a college athlete, being a pro athlete, whatever it is, and you believe in it, you can't let anybody else tell you differently. And so for me, again, that was my dream. That was my goal. And so I'm thinking, how am I going to make this happen now? Because I was getting close to it. And I wasn't quite sure yet how it would happen, but I did know one thing for absolute certain. I knew that if I just did the same thing I did my junior off season, it probably wouldn't happen. Okay, and it's not that what I did was bad, but if I did the same thing, I wasn't going to reach a next level. I had to do something differently. And the one thing that I still teach to this day is this. It's if you want to reach a level, that few will ever achieve, you must be willing to do what few are willing to do. Because here's the stats. Statistically, 5% of high school players will play college and less than 1% play pro. And so the way I do math is exactly that. If you want to be where 5% are, do what 5% or less are doing. And if you want to be where 1% are, do what 1% or less are doing. And it doesn't need to be actually that complicated. So I committed to a redefined approach. I did that my entire off season of my senior year. And then soon enough, my season started and I was getting on the radar. I was getting noticed. And eventually by the middle of the season, I had multiple pro scouts at every one of my games. And by the end of that season, I batted .583. I jumped my batting average nearly 200 points. I was voted the WPIAL Player of the Year. And in June, the Lord blessed me because that's when I was drafted in the 3rd pick of the 3rd round. And so that's the gist of my story. Played in the minors for 4 years. I did not make it to the bigs. And so, my time was after my 4th year. That's just what God had planned for me. But I hope you didn't forget something. I made All-Stars once before I got to high school. Did you guys remember that? So it was not a straight line path to success. There's a lot of ups and downs. And for me, a couple months after I got drafted, man, I had this absolute epiphany. Okay, I looked back and I realized that what I had done in my training my first 3 years of high school was good, but what I did my senior off season was 10 times, 50 times more impactful than any other training I had ever done in the past, hands down. And a major part of that process of what I did is now what I call the Bianco blueprint from prospect to pro. But honestly, another major part of it is what I've evolved this program, this system to over the past 15 years. Because look, it's 2025 today. I got drafted in 2011, was done playing around 2014. And so every year I've evolved this program since. But I'm here to tell you this. I'm as confident as I can be that this program gives you the best chance to play college ball. And that's just where the bar starts. I really believe that for those who commit to it. What it comes down to is there's a million players out there, and if they're all doing the same thing, all training the same way, what's going to separate you? What's going to give you an edge over your competition? And so now I'll shift into secret number 1. You've been following the wrong map. What do I mean? Well, the common false belief is this. If I just fix my mechanics and train hard, I'll succeed and I'll reach my end destination that I'm striving for. And that is just not the case. Why? Because guys, that's what everyone is doing. Right? Don't you get it? Think about it. If you're doing the same thing everyone else is doing, what's going to separate you? Everybody doesn't get to play college ball or beyond. I'll give you a quick story. Back for me in my early high school years, I went to these perfect game showcase events and I was ranked really low on perfect game. But what was I doing at the time? What everyone else was. But when I made the shift that I talked to you about my senior year and then actually fully committed to it, and I mean fully, 100%, not 80%, not 90%. For me then, going from being ranked hardly at all of a sudden my senior year, I became the 4th ranked player in the state, according to Perfect Game. A sneak peek into one of my biggest shifts personally is what I did for my mental game. So when I was a junior, I went to showcase events, like I said, and I would face really good pitchers. Okay, and for me, when scouts were watching and it was pretty high pressure, I would let my nerves get the best of me, and honestly, I didn't do very well. I oftentimes would strike out and was really frustrating for me because I knew I could hit these guys. It's just that I couldn't translate it to the game. So what did I do? I addressed it. Right? I incorporated a routine I did every night. I did it for months, all winter long. And again, if you're listening, it was mental. It wasn't physical. And so for me, I did that and committed to a mental strengthening routine that I did consistently. And then sure enough, when my next high pressure situation came after working on it for all those months, when I was a senior, early on in my season, I had an MLB cross-checker come to one of my games that year. And so going back to a high pressure moment, that for me was the most important game of my season, just for me personally. And I knew after that game, he was going to put in a report into his database about me that every MLB scout would see. And I can't even fully explain this, but when I got into the box that day, I was a different guy. After all that mental training I had done, this time the moment was not too big for me. I didn't feel the same way I did when I was getting nervous and not able to perform under pressure. And guess what happened? The very first pitch I get that game, I end up hitting the furthest ball of my life. I literally did. And there were these signs throughout that whole season for me where it's like, man, it just made sense. I knew I was going to succeed even before the game would happen. And it wasn't one tweak in my swing or anything mechanical, but it also wasn't luck. It was buying into the system, buying into the process that I had done, and into the player that I had set out to be. It just started becoming crystal clear. And man, I can't tell you how many players I played with that were really good players that didn't get far enough because they never had the right blueprint. Or for some, no blueprint at all. And look, if you're going to do something challenging, you need a solid blueprint. For example, could you imagine a home builder trying to build a house without a blueprint? Or how about a football coach heading into a game without his playbook? Right? How are those things going to work? And look, for some of the players that don't make it, it doesn't mean they don't work hard either. And it doesn't mean that they're not skilled enough. Next, secret number 2. You are 100% capable if you commit and learn from somebody who's done it. And look, this is with anything in life, not just baseball. Here are some common false beliefs. I don't know if I'm good enough. Justin, easy for you to say you got drafted. Or maybe it seems like only the best players will get there. Guys, the reality is you can do this. If you get the right coaching, the right program, you can do this. And how do I know that? Well, if you remember from the first slide, 800 college scholarships over 3 decades. 60 players play professionally. 8 players made it to the majors. So we have a proven system for you. Secret number 3, you can have the lightest shoes, but it doesn't mean you'll win the race. What do I mean by that? You don't need more coaches. You don't need the best travel team, and you don't need a state-of-the-art facility. You need the right system. And while all of those things can help, and they will help, they will not be what ultimately gets you there. How do I know this? I am a head coach. I am a private instructor, and I own 12 of my own travel teams that I run today. And also, did you see our indoor field? No, I'm in all of these arenas. I generate income as a head coach, as an instructor, and as a travel team director. So you need to understand that for this to come from me, it should be absolutely glaring to you of what the real answer is. And I don't want this to be confusing. I don't want this to seem contradicting. It's not at all. It's that these things can help, but they are not the final answer. And I'm telling you, the only reason I figured that out is after going through the whole process myself and being in the business myself now for 15 plus years. So let's talk about the travel team. All right, will my travel team be enough? All right, and that picture down below is foreshadowing to what I'm about to tell you. And it's not that a travel team is bad. Again, that is one of the most primary things that I do today is being a director of a travel team. But regardless of who you play for, it is just a different model. And it is not designed to serve the same purpose. And look, I encourage everyone here to play travel ball. You're going to play against the best competition, and you're going to also develop a ton. When I was younger growing up, I played on a travel team every year. But here's what you need to understand. It is a team setting, right? It's designed for team. And while you are going to develop more, it's not designed strictly for individual player development. This is the way it's supposed to be if you want to win games. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. For example, you have a team of 12 guys. There's only so much time in the day to give to each individual. A couple quick examples like nutrition, strength training, speed training, recruiting, video analysis. None of these things are going to be able to be addressed in travel ball. And if they are addressed, there's no way you're going to address each one enough. That's the key. And really think about it. As a head coach, how are they going to cover all of these things in enough depth and detail along with getting the whole team ready to compete? And look, if you're with a travel team now and they're saying they're going to do all the recruiting necessary for you, it's just not feasible. Some of the other things you have to do individually, you have to be emailing and calling and contacting these coaches. You have to know what to say. You need to know how to make a video. You need to know the different periods between contact period, quiet, and dead. Right? So if you don't know that and they don't answer you, that's going to be huge to determining if they're interested in you or not. You need to know the right events to go to if you really want to get noticed easier. But the point is this, regardless of who you play travel ball for, it's just a different model. And that's why I have that picture up. It's like using a garden hose to try to put out a house fire. It's not that it's a bad hose. It's just not designed for that kind of job, and it will not serve that purpose. And again, you need to hear me. I own 12 travel teams myself. This takes up the majority of my time, and I do love it. But as far as giving you the truth, giving you the real answer, if that's coming from me, I don't know who else you need to hear it from. So look, I'm going to give you a couple different players. I'm sure you fall into one of these categories, so let's just fly through them. Player one's the solo struggler, right? And what does he do? He tries to figure out everything on his own. He puts in effort, but he really doesn't have any accountability from a coach. He often skips days. He has no structured game plan or path to follow. And he wastes time because everything at that point is now just trial and error. What's the result? You get less than half of your full potential, and you're probably done after high school. If I'm just being honest, guys, it is the biggest mistake you can make, and it drastically lowers your chances of getting recruited. All right, player number two. This is the person that does private training weekly, maybe. They get hitting lessons once a week from an instructor or coach, typically for an hour. They got to figure the rest out on their own, which is strength, speed, mindset, recruiting, nutrition, and more. And by the way, just to be honest, I think some of you guys are totally ignoring some of these things still. And hopefully through this video, you can realize how important they are if you want to be the most complete player you can be, if you want to be the best you can be. You know, if you're doing this, there's still no overall blueprint for you. There's no overall game plan for you if you're just doing training once a week, for example, hitting lessons, right? Like, what's the overall game plan for all your other stuff to become a complete player? Now, this person finds a lot more success than player one, but lacks in multiple other areas, often too highly concentrated in one. The cost of this is about $100 a week on lessons, which is $400 a month, which again, I give lessons still to this day. Giving lessons is the thing that I have done the longest. I've done this for over 15 years. I've given between 15 and 20,000 lessons in my career. And lessons are still great for development. It's just not the best thing overall to give you the best chance to get a college scholarship. You got to have more than just lessons. What's the result or the real cost, in my opinion? Progress and improvement, but still not achieving full potential as a player. Why? No one reaches their full potential at 1 hour a week. All right, player number three. This guy is Mr. All In. So he gets baseball coaching 1 or 2 times a week, which is going to cost about $100 to $200 a week. They also do strength training twice a week at about $100 a week, $400 a month. Same thing with speed training. So let's say they have a strength trainer, a speed trainer. So that's a great physical game plan. Okay, but where else are you going to get your nutrition advice, your mindset advice and guidance, your recruiting guidance, your video analysis expertise on how to actually take your form to the next level, and much, much more? I'm telling you, the physical side is only part of it. You need to combine it with a rock-solid mindset, with a rock-solid game plan overall of how to put it all together. Other problems, though, with this is sometimes you have 3 coaches and too many people in your ear, right? So you really have 3 coaches and no mentors that are all in on you. I'll tell you a really quick story. There was a player who was really good. He had a chance to get drafted, and his final year he had 3 hitting coaches. And so, you know, maybe his thought was, all right, I want to make sure that nobody's missing anything on my swing. While that might make sense, it actually did a lot more harm than good, because again, you have 3 people telling you 3 different things. And when you do that, you have 0 consistency. What's the cost of this overall? I mean, you're probably looking at $300 to $400 a week, and that's even conservative, honestly, and it could be even $1,200 a month. What's the result, or in my opinion, the real cost? You're paying a fortune, and you're still only getting about half of what is necessary to really reach your full peak. Okay, so you're going to be probably better off than player 1 or 2, but you're still only going to reach 75% roughly of your potential. Let's talk briefly about a recruiting service. You can do that, and that's all fine, but you're going to pay probably about $3,000. They also have an extremely large pool of players that they're also trying to promote, and guess what? They have one strategy that they're applying to all the players. And so what's going to separate you from the next guy that they're trying to promote or market? Conclusion, you're paying $3,000 for something I could probably teach you how to do in a few hours or less, and more importantly, will be more effective and impactful coming from you. So, what have we debunked so far? You don't want to do it yourself. You shouldn't be doing just lessons. The thought that travel ball will do it for you is a myth. A recruiter will overcharge and underperform, and a good facility and instruction can help, but can only do so much. And why should you have hope for your future? Well, again, we've had 800 plus other players who also achieved this with us. Several players as of recent, 60 plus that went to pro ball, 8 in the bigs. And the other thing is, I'm teaching you this personally myself. All right, so what's the answer then? What is it? If we went through all these things and we talked about all of these things that aren't the answer, then what is it? What I'm going to talk to you about today is the Bianco Blueprint Coaching Program. It's 3 things. It's course, it's my coaching, and it's the community. This is something that I've been doing for years, and I have enhanced it every single year. Guys, after all of the expertise that I have over the last 15, 20 years, as a player, as a pro player, as a coach, as a director, as a private instructor, I've been in every single arena and still am today. I'm telling you, this is the most impactful, highest value thing that you're going to be able to receive, and what I truly believe gives you the best chance for your best results. So let's dive into it. Here's the course. First, with the course, you get 95 plus videos of all of the following topics: hitting, fielding, throwing, speed, strength, mindset, recruiting guidance, nutrition and diet, video analysis, expertise, where we break down major league throwers and hitters to see what the best in the world are doing and how we can replicate that. And you also get an off-season program putting this stuff all together. And as well, I have a video tutorial that I put on my YouTube page that shows you all of these things in great detail, which I won't get into with this video, but I've also incorporated this whole thing into a game. And the way I've set it up is I've taken the same approach with how players play video games at home. And my goal is to get them off the PlayStation sticks into more of the real game-like structure that can help you improve in your real life, not just on PlayStation. I also have bonus courses. I have a course about being a faith-driven athlete. If that's of importance to you, it is to me. That's why I added it in there. And then I also have a good way to properly evaluate yourself post-game. What's the result of this? You get 100% of your full potential because you're doing everything that's required. Guys, I never said this was going to be easy, but it will 100% be rewarding, and it will be 100% of you reaching your full potential because you have literally covered everything you need to do. And just real quick, like being a pro player, when you get to become a serious player at a high level, you're addressing all of these things. Like I didn't play baseball with any teammates that were also not addressing all of these areas. I think everyone's obviously addressing the baseball skills, hitting, throwing, fielding, but so many of us are leaving out numbers between 4 and 10, and at the high level, everybody's addressing these things. And so again, it was just proof for me. All right, coaching. What is the coaching program? This is probably one of the highest values along with the course. Why? Because you get live coaching and support with me. It's a 1-hour Zoom call. It's once a week. It's every week. It's all year long. And for how long? You're not going to believe this. This is for your entire high school career if you sign up for the coaching program. Your entire high school career. And what are we going to do on these calls? I'm going to answer your questions about anything. I'll talk about the program and questions you have about that and your progress. I'll talk about recruiting guidance, which is going to be a huge one for you guys and for parents. I'll talk about anything all that you need to be your full mentor and support system every single week. As well, you'll get some live training from me on mindset. I can review video analysis of anybody's, hitting mechanics, throwing, whatever it is that you need. I'm going to hold everybody accountable, and I'll essentially be there for any need that you have. And every call is going to be with the group community. All right, so community, this is the third part. What is this? Nobody's doing this alone. It's a community of other people that are just like you, driven, like-minded players all across the country that are serious about pursuing the same goals and dreams together. That's what this is. And when we do this, no one is competing with one another. Okay, we're pushing each other to all achieve the same goal. We're building a brotherhood, right? And we're keeping each other accountable. And so here's another thing, probably the 2 biggest time wasters right now are social media and video games. And I'm telling you, if you invest in the system and if you can follow me each week in doing this and in following the program that I laid out for you, it's going to take you off of the video game sticks more often, and it's going to take you off of Instagram and Facebook and the social media that's wasteful and put you into social media of a community that's actually pursuing the same goal. And so we can all chat together. We can all put stuff on our on the message board. We can all cheer each other on and push each other to do better. We can share achievements on there. We can do anything at all to have a community of people that are all the same. All right, next, let's get down to price. Honestly, this is my favorite part. So I've made a chart here of the first 3 players that we've already went over, and I've also put the Bianco blueprint in there just to compare what it is you're actually getting. So player 1, if you're the player 1 that just tries to figure out everything on your own, you're not getting anything because you're doing it all on your own. What's the cost? It could be free. It could be up to $750 a year, depending on if you go and rent a cage or whatever you do. But again, what's the real cost? What's the result? 40% of your potential. We've already went over that. Player number 2, this is the person that does their lessons, okay, once a week. So if you do that, it's going to cost you about $100 a week, and you're still leaving out everything else. Speed, strength, video, mindset, recruiting, off-season program, nutrition, and diet, and you have no community. Still going to be pretty expensive at $400 a month, and you do that over the year, it's $4,800 over the year. Oh, by the way, we didn't even talk about the recruiting cost. So if you want guidance and expertise on that, there's another $3,000. You could be easily paying $7,800 for that while still only reaching 60% of your potential. Player number 3, that was Mr. All In. So they're paying for specialized training in baseball speed and strength. And again, these are examples, but these are the most common. So that's why I have them on there. And what's the cost of that? I mean, we're talking $1,200 a month. And I'm telling you that it could be even more depending on what market you're in. Over the year, that could be $14,000 if you're doing that every week to train. And look, I know not everyone does that all year long, but there are some that do. There's several that do, and that's what the cost is going to be over time when you really add it up. Okay, you add a recruiter cost in there for $3,000. That's $17,000, guys. And guess what? The worst part about it is you're not getting your full potential. You're getting about 75%. Why? You don't have video analysis expertise. You don't have mindset training. In the mental game, okay, this is why my whole Instagram page it was titled The Mindset That Dominates at one point. Okay, and I put video after video after video about mindset. Your mental strength is going to be what determines how far you go. Okay, I can't tell you how many talented players I played with that didn't make it real far because their mind was in the way. Right? They couldn't get out of their own way. They didn't have the confidence, and they also didn't handle failure real well. And those are 2 things that we spend a ton of time on. Okay, Bianco Blueprint covers everything, right? We've already gone over all this, but it covers all of the areas. That's where you see the green check boxes. And by the way, recruiting costs not required. I already went over that. Why? Because it's a part of the system. But what is the result, guys? Like, to me, like money is just money. Money is not important. But what is the real result? What is the end product? What is the end goal or dream you're chasing on the other end of it? 100% of your potential. It doesn't even matter about the amount of money. It's about what are the things you're covering. Are you doing all that's necessary? And I really don't think anybody on here wants 8 different coaches coaching them in each area. And the reason I created this entire program in the first place is because it didn't exist. I have searched on the internet. There is nothing that covers all of these categories in one. And in doing that, it's going to cost you in these numbers to do that. That's just the bottom line. If anybody can prove me wrong or prove me otherwise, please give me a call today. Okay, it's just not happening. So if you follow the Bianco blueprint, let's go to the next slide here. If I wanted to charge you this is probably what I would charge if I sold each one individually. But here's the real difference. I'm giving you live coaching for 4 years. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying now. Live coaching for 4 years. Okay, your whole high school career. If you get in this program as a freshman, you have it your freshman to senior year. All right, so as long as you're in high school, you have access to this program. And just so you know, I'm not just throwing a random extremely high number on there and show you it's the real thing. If you were to train with me in person for an hour, it would cost you about $95 an hour. So let's just take $95 an hour, and there's 52 weeks in the year. Let's just say you even train for 70% of the year. That's 36 weeks. You times that by $95 an hour, it's $3,400 a year, roughly. And you times that by 4 years, it's $14,000. And again, that's coaching 70% of the time. So you take that number at $14,000, you add it up with all of these numbers, it's a $23,000 total value. Now, would I ever charge you that? Absolutely not. But that is the value you would get if you paid for each one individually. Like those are real numbers, I promise you. I just broke it down for you on the calculator. Some of these could be way more. Nutrition plan for $150, I guarantee you could find one online for way more than that. But the point is this, I wouldn't charge you anywhere near that. And I also am not going to charge you anywhere close to the player 3 number, and not even close to the player 2 number at $4,800 you wouldn't pay with me. And so the good news is nobody's breaking the bank here to do this. Now, can anyone join? The answer is not really. I'd have to talk to you. I have to make sure it's a good fit and that you're a good person for the program, because I don't want it to just be anybody. I want it to be serious players that are serious about their dreams here. But I will say this, for those that are accepted, it's 100% risk-free, meaning within 14 days, if for some reason you don't see value in the program, it is a money-back, 100% guarantee. That's how confident I am in the program. And why am I that confident? Again, because we've seen the results. We've seen over 800 results. And just to put it in perspective real quick, what's your return on investment with this? In our country, the average cost for college at a 4-year school is $30,000 a year for an in-state school and $43,000 out of state. Those are the numbers as of 2024. And the average athletic scholarship is around $10,000 a year. And so if you invest in this program and you end up getting a scholarship, this is a 1,355% return on your investment. Even just looking about cost alone and not even the chance to go chase your dreams. So we're about all done, guys. And what have I realized after my last 15 years? I've realized this. Even the best athletes have coaches. Michael Jordan, he didn't win a single championship until Coach Phil Jackson and him teamed up. And then what happened? He won 6 titles. And if Michael Jordan didn't win his 6 titles, he probably would not be considered the best of all time, which most people consider him to be. It was the same thing with Kobe and Shaq. They had never won a title before, and then all of a sudden Kobe wins 5. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, they won 6 together, and I don't think they're winning 6 without each other. It's the same thing with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. For those who follow football, Andy Reid was an excellent coach for years and years and years, and he could never win a Super Bowl. And then he finally got the right quarterback, and the quarterback got the right coach, and now we see the success they're having today. And the biggest thing is this: time is your most valuable resource. So why waste it trying to reinvent the wheel when you can follow a proven system that delivers the results? So what now? Well, you can book a call with me. Again, I got to make sure that we get athletes that are a perfect fit. And at a bare minimum, it's going to be a free strategy call for you, so you'll still get a lot out of it. But again, requirements for the coaching program, you got to be at least a high school player, and you need to be a serious player, serious about playing in college or beyond. Now, if you're not in high school yet, I highly recommend that you explore my course first without the full-on coaching program. If you have questions about that and you want access to the course, go ahead and shoot me an email down below at GuardianAngelBaseball@gmail.com, or you can message me on Instagram. For everyone that stuck around, I really appreciate it. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this, and I hope to talk with some of you soon.